Joining. This video is going to be posted in its full form on my YouTube channel, so make sure you check it out. I'll probably post this one on Facebook, X, and what's the other one? Instagram as well. So when you get in the chat, you'll be seeing this video perhaps for the second time, or you'll be seeing it for this first time in video format as opposed to a live feed. Make sure you drop a like, a subscribe, a follow, a comment would be helpful, and suggest future topics, subject matter. Talking about geopolitical Christianity. I'm going to read something that I wrote earlier, just came out with flow. And if I edit it while reading, forgive me, pardon me for that. So let me just tell you what the topic of today's video is the geopolitical Christian church. Christianity is dying on the vine, and is dying on the vine in the places where it was most successful, and that is the West. That is Europe and the United States, and presumably Australia and New Zealand, and all the other South Pacific countries that are basically Europe just exported out to the South Pacific. And so anyway, talking about the power and the importance of the geopolitical Christian church, where it's going next, and how God is moving it. And this whole video is going to be dedicated to that, and I'm actually going to looks like, I thought I had already written my notes out, but I'm just going to be I'm pretty much spitballing it here a little bit. So thank you for humoring me. I'm just going to go ahead and read this. Mainstream Christianity would have you believe that God is impotent and desperate for some white coat to validate his existence. Christians wonder, what happened to the age of miracles? For most mainstream Christians, faith is just about belief and hope. But belief and hope are the tombstones in graveyards of broken promises and dreams. God is greater than the space ghosts and sky phantoms of mainstream religions. Although Christianity is the supreme religion on earth, it is still plagued by superstitious hoping and begging. The lives of Christians don't reflect the promises that God, our eternal Father, has promised us and said that we would inherit. This pattern is coming to an end. Geopolitical Christianity, the apex human awakening, is erupting out of the compost of dead, sleeping, and impotent sycophants who leech off the enthusiasm of every new generation of believers. In this video, I discuss how you can overcome the fractured faith and demonic dependence in a sky ghost, a space phantom, a space ghost, and a space phantom. God's children are worthy of experiencing the materialization of their highest desires and dreams. With God's help, all things are possible. And it's time that Christianity start living those promises. If you're not living the promises, I would strongly suggest that you reconsider the basis of your faith. Christianity is not about being a loser. The name Christian has Christ as the prefix. Christ, the source. Christ is the interface between God, the divine, the eternal, and humanity. And if you are a child of the Most High, there's absolutely no reason why your life should look like shit. There's no reason why. There's no reason why your health should be poor, your relationship should be absent, your money should be bad. Like, there's absolutely no reason. You are a child of the Most High. We are ambassadors. We are in this world, but not of this world. The apex human awakening is about this time in human history where those who are born of the harmony and the justice of heaven get to live a full, flourishing, prosperous, and productive life. The harmony of heaven, the beauty of heaven, the perfection of God our Father is reflected in our lives, in how we treat our fellow human beings, and how we live. And there are no words, even the things that I say here are absolutely useless if I can't demonstrate through my life, through my expression and experience, that God is with me. When people talk about my testimony, no one wants to hear your fucking testimony. Pardon my French. That was English. Pardon it. Nobody wants to hear your testimony. They want to see it. There's so many people talking about my testimony, my testimony, my testimony. Look, it's great to hear a story here and there, but if your life is not reflecting the promises, and I can tell you, look, the areas in my life that I'm working on, God is making better for me all the time. But if our lives are not reflecting the promises, excellent health, excellent wealth, excellent relationships, excellent social standing, being the head, not the tail, then we cannot get surprised when we see that the church has died. Like in the last couple of years, the Christian church in the United States has gone from 78% retention to 63% retention. I mean, and it keeps dropping, and there's a reason for that. So, look, the golden age, the return of Christ happens when your life works, when your life is good, when your life is exceptional. It doesn't work when you're running around giving people Bibles and pamphlets and you can't even buy lunch. That does not make sense. So there's a new form of Christianity that is afoot, and it's called geopolitical Christianity. It's a Christianity that is based on real life, real world stuff. So I want to invite you to that. And in the chat, I'm going to check out the comments in a second. Thank you all for joining. For all you who've been here in the past, welcome back. The first question I have for you guys there in the chat is, what does the church look like for the next generation? What does the church look like for the next generation? What do you think that looks like? If you're a Christian, if you're an atheist, if you're a non-believer, or whatever, what do you think the Christian church looks like for the next generation? I'm going to jump in the comments here. I got to scroll back. Say hello to Kelsey Cooper. Hello, Wade. Hello. I love Jesus too, Kelsey. I'm with you. I'm with you, Kelsey. Ned Turred. Hi. Hello. Ender P4WS. Hello. All right, Ender P4WS, can I get a shout out? Yes, you can get a shout out. Make sure you drop a like in the comments. Thank you very much. So what do you think the Christian church looks like in the next generation? I didn't get any responses to that just yet, but I will read them when they show up. I'll go on to the next question. What kinds of Christian churches are growing these days? What kinds of Christian churches are taking off as far as their retention? They're holding on to their congregations. They have a young, lively congregation. You got to ask yourself, what kinds of Christian churches are doing that? I'll answer that, perhaps later on or in another video. And then how do churches attract and retain young adults? Now, one thing I found in Egypt, and the Egyptians get this, most of the Muslim world gets this, you cannot have a thriving faith without young adults, especially young men. If your church is not retaining young men, you're dead. You're gone. You don't have a future. Young women, yeah, okay, women matter, but this is the thing. Young women, and this is a thing too, young women do draw in young men. So you have attractive young women in your church, young men are going to show up. But what's going to happen is if they are young men of strength, of social standing, and of power, the women will follow them. And the men are not going to follow the women. The men will chase the women into the church. Look at them. They're so pretty. We'll hang out. But, if these are men of actual, like if they have standing, if they have the ability to create and mold and shape their world around them, and they have social mobility, they have money, they have wealth, they're not going to stay if they're not spoken to, if the congregation isn't attracting them. They're just not going to stay. So as you can see with the change in politics, I love you, story problem. Oh, okay. Intoya Simri. Help me with that pronunciation. I hope it's Samir. It can be either Samir or Simmery or Samir. Natoya Samir. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for joining. Make sure you drop a like and let me know what kinds of churches, what does a Christian church look like for the next generation, and what kinds of Christian churches are growing these days. And also, how do churches attract and retain young adults? Like I said, if you can't retain your young men in the church, your church is dead. There's no future for your church. Young women, they're there, but this is the thing about young women is they get married to men. Let's say they marry men that don't have faith. The young women, what women will do, it's just my observation. Please let me know if you think otherwise. But what I have found, what I've observed is that what women will do is they will raise the children according to their faith, their culture, whatever. But they'll do what the husband says. They'll follow the husband's kind of lifestyle for the most part. The only way that that will change is if the husband is catering to the wife, or like most modern men tend to cater to the female, they cater to the woman, and that is detrimental to the evolutionary stability of a society, a culture, a nation. Men have to be able to be rigid enough to hold form, hold frame, because men are the guardians of cultures, women are the creators of culture. So together there's no culture without male and female. Because women help to refine, shape, and help mold it. Men protect it. They hold up culture. So men are the pillar, women are the roof, in a way you could say. Men hold it up, women protect. I mean, men protect and hold up, but I guess women are the furniture inside the house. I'm trying to use the right analogy here. Let me know what you think. Um, the future of Christianity means young men have to be retained. And I was getting at this earlier. The Islamic world gets it. They get it. They are catering to young men. When I went to Egypt, the young men, again, and I love this about Egypt, they kind of segregate the sexes. And I do like that. I think it's very healthy and useful. Not in all areas. In business, you need to have some sort of interaction between the sexes so you can reach multiple markets. But when it comes to like daily life, riding boats, trains, uh, uh, all the different things that are going on, they were segregating men and women in the worship service. They're segregating men and women. And I think there's value to that. There's a great deal of value to that. I personally enjoy seeing women in the congregation because they're very attractive. But I also recognize that the beauty and attractiveness of a woman that God has made, God did that intentionally, um, is a distraction for most of us men, especially for visual guys like myself. That's not entirely true because I can totally ignore women because if I'm really focused on something I care about, you can be the top model on the earth just walking right past me naked. I would not see you, and it happens to me all the time. And people are like, yo, that hot girl was trying to talk to you, and I'm like, what hot girl? Like it's a genuine absent-mindedness on my part. But getting back to it, the church has to recruit and retain young men, and not just any young men, but young men of social mobility, young men of influence, young men of integrity, social mobility, and influence. So if you have a church and the vast majority of your congregation are young women, that's great, but are you training the young women in the church to help retain young men who have integrity, social mobility, and influence? If you don't have that, like I said, your church is dead. You might as well just close your doors now, save your money, and I don't know, open up a candy shop or something, or a brothel. But in the Middle East, they get it. They're retaining them. I mean, that's why Islam is in the last, I think, 20 years has exploded, like exploded. Even with all the psychotic, stuff that's happening with, 30 years ago, that was real big with the terrorism stuff. That's kind of slowing down. But especially when Trump gets into power, I think that's going to really get tamped down. But Christian churches have to be able to retain young men because without young men of mobility, social standing, integrity, and influence, there's no future. Why? Because men are the guardians of society, civilization, that sort of thing. But more importantly, men are the guardians of marriage. There is no marriage. If a man doesn't want to marry a woman, that woman's not going to get married. If no man wants to marry a woman, she's not going to get married. And if she does marry, she's going to marry a man that's below her status. And she's not going to really respect or appreciate or want to be with him long term. Because when a man above her status shows up, she's going to leave the guy below her status like that in a heartbeat. So quicker than he can say, honey. So the church has to be able to, the next generation of the church, so to answer these questions. And again, let me know what your opinions are on this. These are just my observations, and in the study that I did, I noticed this as well. What does a church look like in the next generation? It's younger and it's more male. Okay. What kinds of Christian churches are growing these days? Looks, it's the far right leaning MAGA hat wearing churches and communities. Those are the ones that are growing. Why? They're attracting young, influential, upwardly mobile young men, and that does not mean men with tons and tons of money per se. That just means men that have purpose, who have drive, who that sort of a thing. So, and then the third question: how do churches attract and retain young adults? Well, look at the Muslims. Look at the Trump campaign over the last couple of years. They speak to what no one else is speaking to. They hear the young people. And in the research study that I did, what most of the participants found for themselves was that the most powerful aspect of the gospel of Christianity was the idea that God sees them. God sees them. That the transcendent accepts them as they are. And hello, welcome, Nelly Jalita. Welcome to the discussion. We're talking about geopolitical Christianity and the future of the church. And I'm just talking about how the research participants in the study that I did back in 2019 and 2018, 2019, they found that the transcendent, or what a lot of people refer to as God, saw them, and that was what kept them in the faith. That's what kept them there. And so it seems that churches that speak to the concerns of the young adults in this generation are the ones that are going to survive. Obviously, you have the Episcopalians, Methodists, Lutheran churches that are everywhere, and there's like 20 people that are in their upper 80s. Those churches will always be around because those people stayed in the church a long time, and they tend to have enough funds to maintain those churches. But maintenance is not the same as expansion and growth. And if you want expansion and growth, you need little babies in that church. How do you get them? You have a man and a woman. They come together, birds and bees, and then a baby pops out, right? Churches need to take that into account, and they need to start speaking to young men. Give young men hope. Give young men respect. Give them also purpose, because there are a lot of young men that are just knuckleheads, purebred knuckleheads, and they don't have any, way to go in life, and they don't know where they're going, and so they need some guidance, but the kind of guidance that they can intrinsically follow, where they want to follow. I'm not black, but thank you. Nelly, I don't know. I'm not black, but thank you for your love. Okay. But thank you for being here. Make sure you drop a like in the comments. I appreciate you. So if you are, running a Christian church or a Christian organization, and you're concerned about the fact that, you're noticing that the church population is kind of flatlined, and you're like, well, hey, we're not getting tithes, and we're not bringing in the funds that we want for these projects or this expansion, then I would say start to reconsider how you're presenting Christianity and start reconsidering who you're talking to. If you're speaking to the 85-year-old member who happens to be financially well off and is giving I don't know 10 or 20,000 a year or something like that in tithes and offerings or something, I think it's okay to let go of that little fish so you can go for the big fish of young men who are driven, who are out there getting jobs, who are looking to start a family potentially. And one of the ways that you can do that, because it's very hard to control young men. If you start to disrespect them, they're just not going to come to your church. They're just not going to come there. If you start to guilt and shame them and all these things, they're just not going to show up. If the young women feel like, oh, the men are too misogynistic and this and that and the other, then it's very simple. Segregation. It's easy. It's one word. Segregation. 4 syllables. One word. 4 syllables, segregation. Have men Bible study, have women Bible study. People already do this. And really cater to the men, really speak to their concerns, really, and don't judge them. And that's one thing that killed Christianity the last 100 years, and 150 years really, is the judgment of masculinity, the judgment of male sexuality, the judgment of male desire and lust and drive, the judgment of that. You stop judging that and let men know that they are seen, they're appreciated, they're loved, that God gets that they have their desires, and God is not judging them for that, but that God has a perfect way to pursue those desires so that there's more harmony and more joy. And let the men know that they matter. You're going to see successful men in your church. They may have come to your church unsuccessful and young, but as they grow and mature in the body of Christ, they're going to become more financially successful, more socially mobile, and they're going to look back at their church family that helped them to become exceptional and successful and say, you know what, I wouldn't be where I am now if I weren't for these people. And they're going to want to make sure that they choose a woman that is a woman of integrity, a woman of character, and a woman that will help them build a kingdom in God's empire. So that's what I have to say about that. And this is the Geopolitical Christian Church. Just wanted to put this video out. If you are interested in that kind of content, and again, I brought my published study from 2020 from Field and Graduate University in ProQuest, and it was really cool. I dealt with some really interesting individuals throughout that research process, and of course, if you really want to know what I'm working with, this is what came out of this study 2 years afterwards. So this is the original study. You can screenshot that because I'm going to put this video up, and you can just go to my channel, subscribe, and you'll see the name of this video. And then this, of course, is the book that really talks to that. We are human, and God knows what our desires are, what our needs are, and what we are. God is not blushing in the bedroom when you're getting it on. God is not turning his face, when you're, I don't know, lusting after someone or something like that. And that's a big unfortunate kind of thing that's happened in Christianity, especially in the West, the United States and Europe, as women, young women, have dominated the dialogue over the last 60 years, we'll say 60 years, and men have been kind of driven out of the church. What's happened is young women have said, oh, we don't want to deal with these sorts of things from men. And so what happens is men just quietly slink out of the church over 60 years. And now when you go to the churches, you see like one or two scraggling young quasi-attractive women. You have a majority older population, 50s and 60s, not doing anything else on Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday night. So they go into church, but you don't have a vibrant, young, active, engaged young adult community with people that are passionate about life, not about, let's go tell everybody about Jesus. No, passionate about life. Oh, I'm building this business, or I'm exploring this career opportunity, or let's build our wealth, let's build our community, let's build our strength as people. You don't have that, and as a result, overall, the Christian church is dying on the vine. And with the election of Donald Trump, that's changing, and you're going to see real geopolitical Christianity take off. Donald Trump is, again, I haven't seen him explicitly say he's Christian, even though I think he has been identified as Christian. But just watch what happens over the next couple of years with this campaign, with his people. I think it'll look really nice, and I think it'll go well. But I think that what's the real test of what's going to happen is the retention, the resilience, and the long term of what happens here. And I'll close out with this. Egypt built a brand new mosque in New Cairo. I didn't get to visit it while I was there. And then right across from that brand new mosque, they built a brand new church. Both were the exact same size. And I'm going to ask you, well, first of all, why do you think Egypt, a predominantly Muslim country, why do you think they did that? Why do you think they did that? Now, if Christianity wasn't shit, Why would a predominantly Muslim country build an equally impressive and equally large Christian church in their capital, in their newest capital? I mean, New Cairo is like Dubai. It is, it's gorgeous. I did drive through there, and it is, I mean, it's next level. It's next level. So why would they put in the seat of economics, in the seat of political power, a brand new church the exact same size as their largest, newest mosque? Why would they do that? You got to ask yourself that. They see something we don't see in the Western world, and I think we need to take advantage of that. Egypt is our ally, and I think that we need to continue to build good, positive relations with Egypt. And we also need to improve our interaction with the Muslim world as Christians, because at some point we need to reunite as Abrahamism. And so, anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Hello, Two Duels. Welcome back. I'm just talking about the future of the Christian church and how we need to retain young men of integrity, of mobility, and really speak to the young men, because that's the life flow of the church. That's young women are great. They do draw men into the church, especially young men who want to find a good wife or whatever. But the culture is changing, and it's time for us to start really talking to the ones who do hold up the church, and that's the young men. So anyway, I'll be posting this video soon. I'm going to close this one out with my typical thing. I'm trying to make this, trying to make it my thing now. Hello, yeah, bro. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I can't barely see this person, but I do. I guess she's sending me love. Yeah, I don't know. Recommend. I told her I'm not black. I'm Marian, but that's okay. It's all good. I mean, I'll take the love. I just think I don't know who that is, but hey, I'll take it. All right, Two Duels. Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. I thought it was funny. I love you, Brecca man. All right. I don't know if I'm racist for saying that. Anyway, so in closing, the blessings to the righteous. Righteousness leads to success, blessings, prosperity, riches, etc. The foundations of the divine eternity, the foundations of the divine earthly empire are prosperity, purpose, pleasure, peace, productivity, purity, and power. A righteous geopolitical Christian embodies a secular, non-religious spirituality that's built on universal principles and prioritizes self-enrichment, global harmony, and prosperity. The four pillars of geopolitical Christianity are moral objectivism, intrinsic virtue, transcendent self-awareness, and rational self-interest. The very evils that we are overcoming as geopolitical Christians are self-sacrifice, struggle, suffering, scarcity, stupidity, slavery, and savagery. The righteous geopolitical Christian activates or awakens the inner genius, which is the Holy Spirit, through their connection with God, by aligning with the animating principle, which is God the Father, and through Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is our interface. Jesus Christ is the connector. He's the one that allows us to go straight and directly to the Father. Geopolitical Christianity envisions a transcendent global future for humanity that's built on harmony, prosperity, and purpose. The principles of geopolitical Christianity lay in the foundation for the first flourishing human civilization of this age. We've not been civilized yet as a species, and we are going to be civilized. The question is how. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to read this last one by Two Duels. I don't go to church at all, but I want to start since it will impact my life and get me closer to God. Amen. It certainly will. And it is my prayer for you. As a matter of fact, it's not a hope or a wish for you, Two Duels. It is a knowing that God will guide you to a faith community that is based on the faith of Christ and the connection with God, that will deepen your relationship. And in that community, you will be uplifted and enriched because God has that for you here and now. And so I see that for you, Two Duels, and I say Godspeed on your journey. And I'm looking forward to hearing about your wonderful adventures, finding that community that will support and uplift you in Christ. So thank you so much for consistently joining. I'm going to close this video out, but I will be picking up on the next topic, which is the blessings for the righteous. I'm really happy to share that because that's blessings all day long, and you can just bask in God's blessings. Blessings, blessings, blessings. So thank you to Duels for showing up, for being awesome and being consistent. And to Nelly, Jalita, I don't know who you are. I can barely see your picture. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Thanks for the likes, and I will see you in the next video.